Hello everybody, my name's Nicola and welcome back to my channel. This is the Frugal Cottage, where we talk all things money to help you on your financial journey. Today's video is about the 5 financial books that you need in your life to change your financial journey. These are 5 books that I've read and that I would recommend. So don't forget to like and subscribe and let's get started. So yes, the 5 books I feel that you should look at in terms of reading around personal finance that really do make you think about the different kind of things to do with your own personal finance journey. Now, I have always been an avid reader. I read a lot of books. I have a lot of books, and personal finance reading is just kind of an aspect of that, I suppose. But these are the 5 that I feel that you should look at if you've not heard of them already. So the first one, and actually it's on the shelf behind me, is I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. Now, I was sent this book by the lovely Mama Furfur, and I'll leave a link below to her channel if you don't already know who she is. She sent me this a while ago, and I had heard of it beforehand, and I'd kind of dismissed it because he has very kind of set ideas around things, and some of the things he says I really agree with and some of the things I don't. But this book essentially is a guide to sort out your financial life. It says I will teach you to be rich, but the ideas behind it, he's a massive fan of automating your finances, but he also has a very set, quite simple structure for how to deal with your money, and the book is separated into different chapters about how to do that. The investing chapter, as someone who invests, is interesting to read. So Ramit Sethi is like a multimillionaire, and he invests, and his investment strategy, which he talks about in the book, is interesting from a perspective. So I'm quite an active investor, so I invest in stocks and funds and kind of keep an eye on things. He basically has a very simple strategy, and he says that if you're investing, that's what you should start with, and leave it at that. So if you are new to personal finance, the first book I would recommend you read, and it's a really quite easy read. It's not something that's complicated. It doesn't use or overly use lots of kind of complicated words, and he explains things in a language that's easy to understand. I do recommend that the first one you read is I Will Teach You to Be Rich. I'll leave all the links below to these in the description if you want to check those out. The second one is a fairly new book. I think it came out in September, and I read this as part of a book club that I am in or was in, and it's called The Psychology of Money. Now, this book is kind of like a selection of stories, so there are chapters in the book. It kind of makes you think about things in a different way. So I'm just looking because the book's over there. I think there's 20. So this is the book, and there are kind of, it's kind of stories but not. So there are 20 different chapters in this book, but each one is kind of getting you to think about things in a different way. So one of my favourite chapters in it is Wealth is What You Don't See. And it kind of talks about that, and it talks about the freedom of kind of money and what it brings you. And it is, like I said, it's a new book. It was only out in September. It's a really good one for making you think about things that perhaps you kind of thought about before, but not in much detail. But it does challenge you in some ways. It does use lots of kind of examples, so stories, quotes, kind of facts and figures. Again, quite an easy read. It's not complicated, it's not kind of heavy going, because some personal finance books are. But I do think that, and that's why I've put it as number 2 on here, this was just a really interesting read, and it was interesting in the book club to hear other people talk about things and how they kind of agreed or disagreed with some of the ideas within that. But that's, yeah, it's a new book that's come out fairly recently, and that's the second one I feel that you should read. The third one, this is on my Kindle, so I'm not going to hold that up, but the third one is The Millionaire Next Door. So this is very much an American-based book, first of all, and it was also written quite a while ago now. But the fundamentals in this book can be used every single day, and it doesn't matter that it's Americanized, I don't think. So basically it kind of looks at the factors around lots of millionaires, how they became millionaires, what their habits are, what their kind of everyday thing is, And it's really interesting because I think a lot of us assume that millionaires have like massive houses, really like loads of cars, really expensive cars, lots of stuff. And actually this book kind of goes into the underneath, and the millionaire next door is the kind of the unassuming person who drives maybe an older car, who you wouldn't ever expect to be a millionaire, but is because of certain kind of traits that they have that have enabled them to kind of save or amass money like that. It is American, and it is Americanized in that sense, but it's interesting to read, especially about the habits, because I talk a lot about habits on this channel and about how kind of consistency will pay off. This goes into that as well, and again it's a really it's an easier read, I say. It's one of the first kind of personal finance books I read way back when I first started my blog in like 2014, so a long time ago. But yeah, The Millionaire Next Door, definitely one to check out about habit building, if you like. Number 4 is Your Money or Your Life by Vicky, I can't remember, I'll insert a picture here of the book. Again, so you'll sense a theme with these kind of books. This again makes you think about your money in terms of your life and your freedom and what that can bring you or what you give up. I think this one's a bit more kind of a thought-provoking, makes you think about your own life in terms of what you value and what perhaps you might be giving up in the process. Maybe I don't want to use the word spiritual, but it's not just focused on money and personal finance. It's a lot of it is to do with other kind of things surrounding your everyday life. And if I were ever to give somebody a book about personal finance, it would be this one, I think. I think it kind of just opens your eyes to maybe thinking that it's okay to think differently about money and what that brings you. And yeah, in the process of that, you kind of find out more stuff about yourself as well in the process, and what you value or what you think you value, if that makes sense. But yeah, Your Money or Your Life is number 4 on the list. And the 5th one, just to be a bit different, is Smarter Investing. Now this is an investing book. It's the one I recommend people read if they haven't got a clue about investing. Now this is the one where it's slightly heavier going. It's slightly more kind of personal finance jargon filled, if you like, but it goes to the basics of investing in lots of detail, how to get started, what to look at and stuff. It is, if you're thinking about investing in any shape or form, I feel like you should read this book as a starting point. Again, it goes a lot into figures and numbers and kind of projections, if you like, but the fundamental values and principles around investing are covered in this book. So if you're thinking about investing or you want to know more about it before you start, then Smarter Investing is definitely a way to go through that. It's not an easy read, or it's not as an easy read as the others. The first 4 I feel are quite straightforward to read, and they make you think about things, but you don't necessarily have to kind of retain lots of information. But the 5th one, the Smarter Investing one, definitely uses more financial related stuff, and it does explain it, but it's kind of more heavier going. So they are the 5 personal finance books I feel you should read in order to change your life and your financial circumstances. And honestly, some of them will make you think about your money and your general kind of everyday life, the freedom and stuff, in such a different way. Like, I wish I'd read them all back when I first started thinking about money and finances and everything else, but I didn't know they existed at the time. And that Psychology of Money one was only released in September, so yeah, I think that these should be the ones that you read. Have you read any of these already? Have you got any other suggestions for what people should read in the personal finance kind of book? I've got loads of others that I haven't included on that list. I might do a second one, like a second video about them. I'm also thinking about, and let me know if this would be something that you'd interested in, kind of doing maybe like through my Patreon, like a book club, so where we read kind of a personal finance book every, like, one a month, and then we have like a monthly Zoom call book club thing where we discuss the book and how we feel and how it's impacted. Let me know if that's something that you would be interested in. I'm kind of mulling over the idea for that for the new year, because it's something that I would love to kind of do with people who are interested in reading about the same thing. But yeah, let me know if you've read any of those down below. What are your thoughts on them? Do you agree with my comments? And if there's anything else that you feel that I should read that I haven't mentioned, then leave them down below and have a look. I always like to find new books, and recommendations are always helpful. And as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you again very soon.